Hello and welcome back to Major League Talk Giants edition. Today is Friday, June 9th, 2023. My name is Henry and this is episode 21. Today we're going to be going over the series against the Colorado Rockies. The Giants' 20th series of the season was on the road against the fifth place Rockies. This three-game set follows the two series losses at home by the Giants, the team looking to rebound. The first game looked to be all Giants, 14 hits, 11 walks, getting 20 base runners into scoring position. And uncharacteristic for Coors Field, none of the Giants managed to get enough barrel on the ball to hit it out of the park. Yet they did end up with 8 doubles and a triple. The Giants won the game 10-4. The next two games were dramatic, both seeing the Giants come from behind to win. In game two, Webb was having a tough time missing the bats of the Rockies hitters, with the Rockies having a 3-run second and eventually working to a 4-0 lead. The Giants' first hit came in the sixth inning, and the first runs didn't come until the seventh. The bullpen came in clutch, and the Giants won 5-4. In game three, Cobb also struggled, giving up 4 runs in the first inning. Those would be the only runs the Rockies would score, luckily. The bullpen came in clutch again, holding the Rockies runless while they came out in relief. The hitters started scoring again in the sixth, and clutch hits in the ninth put the Giants ahead. The Giants won 6-4, completing the sweep. All right, so in game one, it was more of a bullpen game. Brebbia would open, and then Walker would follow. Mania was the one who pitched the bulk of the innings, 4.2 innings in the middle. His final line was 5 hits, 4 earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. For our batters, Wade Jr. was at first. He went 3 for 3 with 3 walks, 3 runs, and 2 RBIs. Estrada was at second. He went 3 for 5 with 2 strikeouts, a walk, and an RBI. Peterson was DHing. He went 1 for 2 with a strikeout, a walk, a run. And then Flores would come in a pinch hit and take Peterson's spot in the lineup to DH. He went 0 for 1 with a walk. And then Davis was at third. He went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, a walk, a run, and 3 RBIs. Conforto was in right. He went 1 for 3 with a strikeout, a walk, and an RBI. Slater was pinch hitting and then playing center field for Conforto. He went 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Haniger was in left. He went 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts, a walk, a run, and an RBI. Yaz was in center and then would go to play right. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, and a run. Bailey was catching. He went 3 for 5 with a strikeout, 2 runs, and 1 RBI. Crawford was at short. He went 1 for 5 with 2 strikeouts, a run, and an RBI. That's 14 total hits, 39 at bats, 16 strikeouts, 11 walks, 10 runs, 10 RBIs. Brevia had the first inning. He got a ground out, gave up a single to left, a double to center, walked the fourth batter, and then got a line out and a fly out with the bases loaded. So escaped runless there. Walker had a better second inning, going 1-2-3 with a ground out to third and 2 strikeouts swinging. After Mania's 4.2 innings, Jackson came out in the seventh to get the last out with a runner on second. Mania had got the first 2 outs, then walked a batter and gave up an RBI triple and then an RBI double. Jackson walked the first batter and then got a fly out to an inning. Jackson came back out for the 8th, getting a strikeout, a line out, giving up a double, and then getting a ground out. Alexander came out for the 9th, getting a fly out, giving up a single, then getting a double play to end the game. Now, listen to this. The offense left 15 on base, went 6 for 20 with runners in scoring position, hit 8 doubles. That's Crawford, Haniger, Davis, Estrada hit 2, Wade Jr., and Bailey hit 2. Bailey hit a triple. Crawford, Haniger, Conforto, Estrada, Bailey, and Davis hit 2 out RBIs. Davis got 2 of them. Davis also hit a sac fly. Peterson was hit by a pitch. The defense only turned 1 double play. The offense saw 240 pitches from the Rockies pitchers. 240. 20 at-bats had 3 balls, and 10 of those were full counts. So they were really working the Rockies pitchers. And watching the game, it was very surprising that none of those balls managed to actually leave the yard. The commentators during the game were talking about how it was probably due to the fact that it was cold that night. It was cooler, at least. So the air was pretty dense, preventing those balls from actually leaving. But very, very long doubles for the Giants, and it ties the record of single game doubles at 8. And they've got a lot of games at 8, I believe, about 5 or 6 of them. So because Manaea pitched the bulk of the innings, we're going to look at his pitcher report. He threw 83 pitches, 57 four-seamers, 13 changeups, 13 sliders. All those four-seamers, the changeups averaged 87.7. The four-seamers averaged 93.8. The fastest one was 96.2. The slowest was 90.7. And his sliders averaged 79.4. All those four-seamers, based on the zero reference point, were coming into a right-handed batter. The changeups also coming in, but not as much. And then the sliders had the most drop and were tailing into a righty. Good release point. And then his spray across the zone, he's actually got quite a few that are up out of the zone, and then they're kind of coming into and down to a righty. He threw 41 of his pitches in the strike zone, 42 were out of the zone. Batter swung at 39 of his pitches and took 44. They swung at 2 sliders and took the rest of them. And then the changeups were about 50-50, and the four-seamers about 50-50 as well. He threw 28 balls, 24 strikes. 16 were called, 8 were swinging. The batters made contact on 31 of his pitches, 16 foul tips, 9 hits for outs, 6 base hits. All the base hits, surprise, surprise, are four-seam fastballs. 7 hard hits. Pretty much all these hits that were hard or not hard are all four-seamers. Only one of them was a hard hit slider, and that was a fly ball. 2 other fly balls that were hard hit were four-seam fastballs. He had 1 hard hit line drive and 3 hard hit ground balls. So, and honestly, Manaea's performance here at Coors Field was not terrible. I mean, the offense picked him up. It was a 10-4 win. Coming out of Coors Field, only getting 4 earned runs is not a bad performance over 4.2 innings, especially when the Rockies should be great at Coors Field. They play 81 games out of the year there. They should know how to handle those games, those elements. So not a terrible performance from Sean Manaea to come out of there only giving up 4 earned runs. Calling the balls and strikes, Ryan Wills, pardon me. He has an overall accuracy of 94%, an overall consistency of 92%, and his favor was plus 0.95 runs for Colorado. Impactful missed calls, top of the first, Lamet to Conforto, 2 outs, runners on second and third, 3-2 count, ball called a strike. Top of the second, Lamet to Yastrzemski, 1 out, bases empty, 3-2 count, ball called strike. And then bottom of the fifth, Manaea to Tovar, no outs, bases empty, 2-2 count, ball is called a strike. So 2 against the Giants, 1 against the Rockies. Called ball accuracy, 98%. 3 of 160 called balls were actually true strikes. It's his called strike accuracy that's in the mid 80s, 85%. 11 of 73 called strikes are true balls. So that use a bit of improvement there. One thing that would be really cool to see is if they can take those missed calls and at least show which team was getting the missed calls. If it was 50-50, if one team was getting more missed calls than the other, especially those strikes, the balls called strikes, basically. I think that would be a pretty interesting fact to know. All right, so we're going to move on to game 2. This was a web start, and automatically anybody that's definitely been paying attention to Webby starts and how the Giants offense has been handling it, you kind of figure you're not going to get much run support out of the hitters. And you just hope that Webb can keep it to about maybe 1 or 2 earned runs. He was hit around by the Rockies at one point, stringing together 4 straight hits in the second to score 3 runs. His final line was 5.1 innings pitched, 8 hits, 4 earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a home run, unfortunately. But let's move on to our lineup, because we did end up winning this game. Wade Jr. was at first. He went 2 for 5 with a strikeout. Estrada was at second. he had a rough day, 0 for 5 with 1 strikeout. Peterson was DHing, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, a walk, and a run. Conforto was in right, 0 for 4 with a strikeout, a walk, and a run. Haniger was in left, 1 for 2 with a strikeout, a walk, 2 runs. Yaz was in center, 0 for 2 with a strikeout. And then Slater would come in a pinch hit and play center. He went 2 for 2 with a run and 2 RBIs. Sable was catching. He went 0 for 2. And then Flores would come in a pinch hit for him. He went 1 for 1. And then Bailey would come in, play catcher, and he would draw, or he would get an RBI on a sac bunt. So they, I think, gave it a fielder's choice. So that's how he got the 0 for 0, but it was a beautifully laid squeeze bunt, safety squeeze there. Schmidt was playing third, then he moved over to shortstop. He went 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Crawford was in short. He went 0 for 2. And then Davis would come in and pinch hit for him and then play third. He went 1 for 2 with a strikeout. So not a lot of help coming from the top of the lineup. I mean, you look at Wade, Estrada, Peterson, Conforto, Haniger. Those guys only strung together 3 hits. But total 8 hits and 34 at bats, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks, 4 runs, 5 RBIs. Excuse me, 5 runs. Silly me. All right. So for the rest of the pitchers, relieving Webb in the 6th with only 1 out was Beck, who got a fly out and foul out to first in the inning. In the 7th, Taylor Rogers would come out getting a strikeout, giving up a double, getting another strikeout, intentionally walking the 4th batter, and then getting another strikeout. In the 8th, the other Rogers twin came out. Tyler had a 1-2-3 inning. I'm sure that helped with the sibling rivalry there, with 2 groundouts to Tyro and a pop out to Tyro. In fact, one of those groundouts was actually a catch, but the second base ump did not see the catch, so nobody gave a signal that it was a catch. So he quickly made the throw to first. So it should have been a line out, a ground out, and a pop out. Duvall came out to close the game. The Giants having come back down 4-0 and had a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout, a ground out to first, and a ground out to short. The Giants offense didn't record a hit until 1 out into the 6th and didn't record a run until the 7th, securing the tying and go-ahead runs in the 8th. They left 8 on base, went 4 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Bailey had, like I said, a beautiful sac bunt, like probably the best sac bunt that I've seen this season. Reached safely on the pitcher's attempt to get the out at home. Haniger was hit by a pitch. Schmidt grounded to a double play, and the defense turned 1 double play. The Giants scored on a Slater RBI single in the 7th, a Schmidt 2 RBI single in the 7th, a Slater RBI single in the 8th, and that Bailey sacrifice RBI in the 8th. All right, so Logan Webb, like I said, he was just kind of getting hit around there in the 2nd, and we're going to look at some of those pitches that did get hit. But he threw 99 pitches, 39 changeups, 36 sinkers, 16 sliders, and 8 four-seam fastballs. Now, the changeups averaged 88 on the nose. His four-seamers, 92.6. His sinkers averaged 92 on the nose. And then his sliders averaged 84.2. As for the movement, with the reference to that 0 reference line, the sliders were going away from a righty, and the changeups, four-seamers, and sinkers were coming into a righty. All relatively the same release point. His spray across the strike zone, he doesn't have too many that are like way high. There are a couple that are above the strike zone, but they kind of start up and into a righty and then go down and away. He threw 45 pitches in the strike zone and 54 out of the strike zone. Batters would swing at 52 of his pitches. A lot of those pitches were low and out too that they would swing at. They took 47. They swung mostly at his changeups and took, as for the taking, it was mainly sinkers, and then they took sliders, changeups, and then the four-seamers were the least ones that they took. Although if you compared it to how many four-seamers they swung at, they only swung at 1 four-seamer and only 4 sliders. He threw 37 balls and 20 strikes, 10 called strikes, 10 swinging strikes. The strikes were all sinkers, sliders, and changeups. He got called strikes mainly on sinkers. He got six called strikes on sinkers. Uh, three sliders were called strikes and one changeup. And for the swinging strikes, six of those were changeups, and then one slider and three sinkers. Batters made contact with 42 of his pitches, 22 foul tips, 12 hits for outs, then 8 base hits. Those base hits were 5 sinkers and 3 changeups. 11 hard hit balls. 2 of them were fly balls. Those were both sinkers. And then 7 line drives, 6 sinkers and a changeup, and then 2 ground balls. Both of those were changeups for the hard hit balls. And now looking back at like the hits that ended up being RBIs, one was a sinker, basically middle. Another one was a sinker, same location, middle. And then the home run that he gave up was a sinker that was mainly to his glove side. But and then if you look at all the plays, you go back and look at the second inning and look at all the hits that were strung together. Let's see. One single was on a changeup that was kind of down, bottom of the zone in the middle. Then, like I said, another single was a sinker, middle. Another single was a sinker, kind of middle. An RBI double, sinker, middle. So yeah, they're really hitting his sinkers. Basically, is what I'm getting at. Is they were really seeing that sinker. They were really tracking it. They were almost sitting on it basically, and so he still has some adjustments to make. I think it's just showing again that the league is catching on to what Logan Webb can really do. But overall, he's still been doing really well. This is just one of those starts where, hey man, even the best ones get hit around. I mean, if you look at the Braves Mets game from last night, where Ozzy Albies walked it off with a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 10th, Spencer Strider got hit around for 8 earned runs. So the best of the best can always get hit around a little bit. It happens all the time. So nothing I think to really worry about too much for Webby. He will be just fine. Calling the balls and strikes. Mark Ripperger. Interesting name. Overall accuracy of 91%. Overall consistency also 91%. Overall favor plus 0.5 runs for Colorado. Impactful missed calls. Bottom of the first. Webb to Grichuk. 2 outs. Runner on first. 1-2 count. Strike. Called a ball. Top of the ninth. Hand to Davis. No outs. Bases empty. 0-2 count. Strike. Called a ball. And then top of the eighth. Lawrence to Conforto. No outs. Runner on first. First pitch of the at-bat. Ball called a strike. So once again, 2 against the Giants, 1 against the Rockies. Called ball accuracy, 94%. 6 of 97 called balls were true strikes. And called strike accuracy, 87%. 7 of 54 called strikes are true balls. So another mid-80s called strike accuracy. Don't really like seeing that, but I mean, it is what it is. All 3 of these guys were mid-80s with their called strike accuracy. All right, so let's get into game 3. And I'll admit, after already having won the first 2 games of the series, I was resigned to the Giants losing this one. Just it was going to be what it was going to be. And then I saw the first inning. I managed to get home early enough to actually catch basically the Rockies half of the first inning and then watch the rest of the game. And I was just disappointed and upset and let my own pessimism start to settle in. Cobb was on the mound and he got hit around in the first. 3 straight singles started the inning and the scoring. The first out coming via strikeout, then a hit by pitch, a 2 RBI single, an RBI double, then a strikeout, a walk, and a flyout. It was rough. He saw all 9 batters in the first inning. It took Cobb 29 pitches to get out of the first. His first 1-2-3 inning didn't come until the 4th. His final line was 5 innings pitched, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch, 7 strikeouts, though. As for our own lineup, Wade Jr. was at first 0 for 4 with a strikeout and an RBI. Estrada was playing second. He went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, a walk, a run, an RBI, and a home run. Peterson was DHing. He went 1 for 5 with a strikeout and an RBI. Davis was at third. He went 2 for 5 with a strikeout and a run. Conforto was in right. He went 2 for 3 with a strikeout, a walk, a run, 2 RBIs off a home run. Haniger was in left. He went 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Sable was catching. He went 1 for 2 with a strikeout, 2 walks, and a run. Slater was in center, 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And then Yaz would come in a pinch hit and play center. He drew a walk and managed to score a run. Schmidt was at short. He went 0 for 3. And then Crawford would come in to pinch hit and play short. He went 1 for 1 with an RBI and a run. So 9 hits, 34 at bats, 10 strikeouts, another double-digit strikeout, 5 walks, 2 home runs this game. So we finally got it out of the park. Taylor Rogers, he was the first out of the pen. It's another example of Taylor Tyler. I like actually seeing that. It's kind of interesting. Taylor was first out in the 6th. He got a 1-2-3 inning via strikeout, lineout, and strikeout. So makes up for the game 2 where he got a strikeout, give him a hit, strikeout, intentional walk, strikeout. Tyler came out for the 7th, and this time he did not get a 1-2-3 inning, so they both evened out over the 2 games. Tyler got a ground out, gave up a walk, a double, and then got a line out, intentionally walked the 5th batter to load the bases, and then got a fielder's choice to third to escape without giving up a run. Alexander came out in the 8th, and he got a 1-2-3 inning via flyout, lineout, and ground out. And Doval, once again, might as well call it automatic, scheduled tweet, came out to close the game with a 2-run lead thanks to the offensive stand from the Giants in the top of the 9th. He struck out the first batter, hit the next batter, got a pop out to third, and then a ground out to third to shut the door on the Rockies and complete the sweep with the second comeback in a row for the Giants. The offense left 7 on base, went 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Crawford hit a double, Davis hit a triple, Peterson got a 2-out RBI, and Wade hit a sac fly. Estrada stole a base. Cobb earned an error attempting the pickoff throw to first. Now the Giants scoring. Estrada scored on a home, or they started with Estrada scoring a home run in the first. Okay. Makes you feel good about the game. Home run, first inning. And then the next score would not come until the 6th. The Conforto 2-run home run in the 6th. All right, that made it 4-3. Then Crawford comes in for a pinch hit RBI double. It was an 0-2 curveball low, basically out of the zone, and he golfed it to right in the 9th. And then Wade Jr. hit a sac fly in the 9th. And then Peterson came in clutch for that extra insurance run, an RBI single. And like I said, Duvall would come out and close the door. Giants winning 6-4. Cobb. All right, so let's look at Cobby here. 83 pitches, 36 sinkers, 32 splitters, 14 knuckle curves, and 1 slider. We're also going to look at some of his pitches that got hit around to try and understand which ones are really giving him trouble. But like I said, 36 sinkers, 32 splitters, 14 knuckle curves, 1 slider. And let's see, his splitters averaged 90 on the nose. Knuckle curves, 83.9. Sinkers, 94.4. Knuckle curve also obviously had a lot of drop. That slider right around the same amount of drop as that knuckle curve, with your sinkers and splitters coming into a right-handed batter from that 0 reference line. Almost a 6-foot release point. His spray across the strike zone, he didn't really go out and away from a righty too much. He did come in a little bit and then down. Not really down and in or down and out, just kind of down. 41 pitches in the strike zone, 42 out of the strike zone. 46 pitches were swung at, and they took 37. They took that 1 slider, swung at the majority of the knuckle curves, swung at more of the splitters than they took, and it's about 50-50 for the sinkers. He threw 23 balls, 26 strikes, 13 called, 13 swinging. Of the called strikes, the majority were sinkers. He had 3 splitters, 1 knuckle curve, and that slider were called strikes. And the swinging strikes were mainly splitters. You had 4 knuckle curves and 3 sinkers that were swinging strikes. Batters made contact on 34 of his pitches with 18 foul tips, 8 hits for outs, and 8 base hits. Those ace base hits, 4 sinkers, 3 splitters, and a knuckle curve. 7 hard hits. He had 1 ground ball that was hit hard, 5 line drives hit hard, and 1 fly ball. The fly ball was a knuckle curve. The grounder was a sinker, and then 3 splitters and 2 sinkers for the line drives. And then if you look at the play-by-play on ESPN, going to the bottom of the first, 0-2 counts, splitter down and in the middle was a single. 0-1 count, knuckle curve, down, and I can't remember if Profar is left-handed or right-handed. Down and out to a righty. And then a splitter was hit for an RBI single that was like middle and into a righty. Another RBI single was up and in. It was a sinker. And then another RBI hit, a sinker. That was middle. So sinker, splitter, knuckle curve, splitter for the hits that he got. And it's just a rough first. But we're going to look closer at Cobb and DeSclafani, looking at their baseball savant pages later. All right. So overall accuracy for Shane Livensparger. That's another interesting name. Yeah, Livensparger. Overall accuracy, 91%. Overall consistency, 91%. Overall favor, plus 0.2 runs for San Francisco. His impactful missed calls, top of the ninth, Johnson to Yaz. No outs, runner on first, 3-0 count, strike called a ball. Top of the ninth, Johnson Wade Jr. No outs, runners on second and third, 2-1 count, ball is called a strike. Top of the ninth, Johnson to Crawford. No outs, runners on first and second, 0-1 count, ball called a strike. All 3 of these from the same pitcher in the same inning. That's interesting. That's the first I think I've seen that. Called ball accuracy was 94%. 6 of 100 called balls are true strikes, and his called strike accuracy was 83%. Like I said, all 3 of these guys are mid-80s for their called strike accuracy. 7 of 41 called strikes were true balls. So there you go, Giants sweep. You love to see it. It's their second sweep of the season. And honestly, this is what you want to see, right? This is a team that's been struggling, the Rockies, and seeing the Giants actually managed to pull the sweep off, win against a team that they should be winning against, even if 2 of the wins were comeback wins. It's good to see. And honestly, I like seeing comeback wins. It shows that this team is not going to be down and out. They're always going to be trying to fight back. And that's something that I think the fans need to see as well. That's an infectious type of mentality and behavior, and it just needs to carry on. The series puts the Giants at 32-30, still holding on to that 3rd spot in the West. They're 5 games behind the sole holder of first place, the Diamondbacks, who are 37-25. And that puts us 3.5 games back at the 2nd place Dodgers, who just lost 2 of 3 to the Reds. Hello, Ellie De La Cruz. And the Dodgers are 36-27. And we're now 3 games ahead of the Padres, who are 29-33. Yikes. And 7 games ahead of the Rockies, 26-38. They are now only half a game out of the wild card. The Dodgers had that first wild card spot. The Marlins hold the 2nd spot at 35-38. Excuse me. I'm pretty sure that should be 35-28. Let me double check that because that's just wrong. Where's my cursor? There it is. Let's see here. ESPN. How did I mistype that one? Excuse me. The Marlins are 35 and 28, not 35 and 38. That's my fat finger. And then the Pirates have that third spot at 32 and 29. Ha, got that one right. That puts the Giants 2 games ahead of the Phillies, who are 30 and 32, and 2.5 games ahead of the Mets, who just got swept by the Braves and fell to 30 and 33, and they are now fourth in the NL East. Now, while I was praising Steve Cohen earlier in the season for spending all that money, getting all those players, and hopefully stringing together a good season, um, I'll be honest, I'm not like the biggest Mets fan, so it's kind of funny to see them fall to fourth. All right. So for this part of the show, I kind of wanted to look at our two other top of the rotation pitchers that have now had a couple of rough outings. So I'm talking about DeSclafani and Alex Cobb. Now, DeSclafani, he's basically been in that number 3 spot, but he's been trending in the wrong direction over the past month and a half of his starts. So if you go back and look, he had a really good April. 6 innings, no earned, 6.1, 1 earned, 6.2, 2 earned, 5, 4 earned, and then 6, 2 earned. That was his April. It was a good April. Wound up with a 2.7 ERA. He was 2 and 1. Struck out 27 and only gave up 3 walks. So it was a pretty good April for him. But then let's start at May. First game, great May, right? Houston Astros, 8 innings, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 hits, no walks. Come to a second start in May, 7 innings, 5 earned against the Nationals. We all remember that game. That was the 5 in the first inning. Giants couldn't come back from that one. You look at the Diamondbacks game that he started, 5 innings, 3 earned, 1 walk, only 2 strikeouts. Game against the Marlins, 5.1, 2 earned. Okay, not too terrible, kind of trending back in the right direction. But then he has that start against the Twins, 4 earned, 7 total runs in 5 innings. It comes out against the Pirates, goes 7 innings, only 3 earned. But it's his walks. Over the whole month of April, he only walked 3 batters, and over the month of May, he walked 6. Now, he did have 3 games with more innings, 8 innings, 7 innings, and 7 innings for his top 3 in May. And that's the top 3 throughout the whole season. The other games, 5, 5, 5.1. And then you look at the start against the Baltimore Orioles. 3 innings, 5 earned runs, 6 total. So he's been trending in the wrong direction. At the end of May, for the month of May, he had a 4.1 ERA. And now for June, he's got a 15 ERA. And his whip has been increasing. To start the season, he was less than 1. 0.5, 0.49, then it went to 0.63, 0.88, 0.93. And now for the month of June, because of the 1 game that he's played, 2.67. Month of May, 1.15. Month of April, 0.93. So the trend is not what you want to see, is what I'm getting at. So let's look at the actual StatCast here. He has thrown 1,043 pitches and 16 barrels, so 7.2% barrel rate. He's still in the top 5% of the league in walk rate at 4.1%. His ERA is at a 3.97. He's got a 17.6% strikeout rate. That hard hit rate, though, is 45.3. And if you come up and look at his percentile rankings currently, the only thing he is red in is walk rate, 95th percentile. Everything else is trending toward blue. The next highest thing after that is his barrel percentage at 62%, and then his extension at 57. His strikeout rate, he's 17th percentile. His chase rate, he's 42nd percentile. His whiff percentage, 8th percentile. Hard hit percentage, 17th percentile. So, like I said, the trend, not too great. His pitch selections, he throws mainly sliders. Then he goes to the sinker. He's got a few fastballs and changeups that make up like 11 and then 10.6%. And then, 5% of the time he'll throw a curveball. But if you actually look at those pitch types, those sliders, throws those most of the time. He's gotten 22 strikeouts on them, giving up 2 home runs, a 2.28 batting average on those. His lowest batting average, mainly because he doesn't throw it that often, is that curveball, a 118. He's got a 24.3% whiff rate on that slider. The lowest that he's got is a 6.8% on that four seamer. .8% ground balls so far this season. So something is going on with him. I'm not entirely sure what it is, obviously, because I don't get to. I'm not an actual reporter. I don't get to interview these guys, and I have not really listened to his post game press conferences. But hopefully, that pitching staff can work with him, get the trend going back in the right direction. Because there is not a lot of red with him this season. Let's see here. Yeah. And then let's look at Alex Cobb real quick and some of his visuals here. Alex Cobb is still doing relatively well. He's still definitely the number 2 behind Logan Webb. His trend, his May was a little bit worse, mainly because of that 7 runs in 4 innings against the Brewers. I think that's what really did him in, because you look at his May, 7 innings no earned, 7.1 no earned, 3.12 earned in the against the Phillies, 7 innings, 3 earned. So yeah, that 3.1 with 2, and then that 4 with 7 is kind of what ruined that ERA for May. A 3.77 in May against a 2.43 in April. His whip though is kind of steady, honestly. The lowest that he's had in a game, 1.13. But he's staying like right around between 1.55 and 1.3 is where his whip is kind of staying. And against the Rockies there, that 5 innings, 4 earned, but 7 strikeouts. Like, that's the second highest strikeout numbers that he's gotten. Like, he's had 2 games with 8 strikeouts, once against the Marlins, once against the Twins, and 2 games with 7 strikeouts, once against the Padres, and this is the 3rd time he's gotten 7, once against the Baltimore Orioles and now once against the Rockies. So good strikeout numbers. And then his walks, 4 in April. It was just May where his walk rate was just terrible. All of the games that he pitched in May, so 1 against the Brewers, 1 against the Diamondbacks, 1 against the Phillies, 1 against the Twins, and another 1 against the Brewers, there wasn't a single game where he didn't walk anybody. But and now in 2 games in May or in June, he's only walked 1. So he walked 4 people in April, 14 in May, and now 1 in June. So looks like that kind of is trending back in the direction that you would want to see. And I think he's still going to be a great second ace behind Logan Webb. Like I said, some guys just they get hit around. And honestly, I kind of expect, and maybe this is just my wrong opinion, my wrong take, but I kind of expect the teams that are going to hit you around are going to be the ones that you're going to face the most. They're going to be your division rivals. They've seen you all the time. They saw you 19 times last year. They're going to see you, what, 13 times this year? I forgot how many games they took away. Um, but he's got good red up here. His chase rate, he's 74th percentile in chase rate. He's 72nd percentile in fastball velocity, 80th percentile in walk rate, 62nd percentile in barrel percentage. So just one rough game, I think, honestly, was what it was for him. In this start against the Rockies, the Giants picked him up anyway and still got it. He sticks to those sinkers, splitters, and curveballs with just a few sliders. He's only thrown 7 four-seamers this whole season. But it's very clearly sinkers and splitters. 500 sinkers to 453 splitters. Expected batting average on all of his pitches. It's in the 250s, 230s. One's at 278. I got good whiff percentage. The one with the most is that curveball, 40.3% whiff rate. So just needs to move on from the from this one rough start, get back to giving us, 6 innings. And I think he can do it. I mean, I have faith in Alex Cobb. You look at the innings pitched; they really started ticking back up in the right direction here. Started out rough against the Yankees, 3.2, 7 against the Royals, then back to 3.2 against the Dodgers. Well, it's the Dodgers. 5, then 9, then 5, 7, 7.1, 3.1, 7, 4, 7.2, 5. So I got a feeling maybe in his next couple of starts, he's going to be back to 7 innings, 0 to 1 run earned runs, and be able to actually seal up that spot at number 2 behind Webb. So real quick, let's take a look at our projected starters coming up this weekend. The Giants open up against the Cubs tonight, Friday, in about 5.5 hours. It looks like. Looks like the Cubs are going to be starting Stroman against DeSclafani. Now, I did just get done saying DeSclafani's been trending in the wrong direction. Stroman has been trending in the right direction. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Game 2 looks like it's going to be Hendricks versus Junis. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a bullpen game or what they're really going to do there. And then Sunday, Wesneski versus Manaea. So interesting matchups here. Mainly, I'm curious to see how the Giants are going to handle the pitching with DeSclafani, Junis, and Manaea being their starters. Manaea has been trending in the right direction. DeSclafani has been trending in the wrong direction. And honestly, we haven't seen Junis in a little while, but not too much at least. But the Cubs, they're not doing well this season. They're 26 and 36 right now, 7.5 games back at the first place Brewers. As far as their hitting, Fangraphs has them at 18th in average, 21st in runs, 12th in on-base percentage, and 18th in OPS. You don't see any numbers in the top 10 until you look at their starting pitchers and their relief pitchers. Starting pitchers are 8th in ERA, 7 in WHIP, 7th in hits per 9, and 5th in home runs per 9. And their relief pitchers are 7th in strikeouts per 9. Everything else are pretty low. Starters are 10th in walks per 9 and 24th in strikeouts per 9. And their relief pitchers are 24th in ERA, 26th in WHIP, 26th in walks per 9, 20th in hits per 9, 20th in home runs per 9. So honestly, if we can do what we did to the Rockies relief pitchers, which, I mean, clearly you look at the last 2 games, we started scoring in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th innings. looking at the rankings of these relief pitchers for the Cubs, we can probably do to the Cubs what we did to the Rockies. Maybe not sweep, but at least take 2 out of 3, especially once we start getting these relief pitchers in, unless they just decide to have some type of revelation and decide to play well right before they start playing us. But we will see. That'll be coming tonight. Stroman versus Stay-Sclafani, and as much as I need to try and be positive, let's be honest, Stroman's been doing well. Stay-Sclafani has not. Let's actually look at Stroman's numbers here on Fangraphs. So 2023, he's 6-4, 13 games, 79 innings pitched. He's averaging 7.75 strikeouts per nine, 3.08 walks per nine, 0.57 home runs per nine. Jesus. 2.39 ERA. Let's see, 6-4, 13 games, 1 complete game, shutout. He's given up 52 hits and 22 runs in 79 innings. 68 strikeouts in those 79 innings. So, going to be an interesting challenge for the Giants. Let's see what they can do. Once again, I want to thank everybody for listening. I truly appreciate it. Any comments, pointers, tips, corrections, just let me know in the comments. Once again, sources for all of the information that I put out today: ESPN, Fangraphs, Baseball Reference, Baseball Savant, NBC Sports Bay Area via Alex Pavich's articles, and then The Athletic via Grant Brisbane and Andrew Baggerly's articles, as well as other various podcasts. So I will see you after the Cubs series this weekend. Everybody have a safe and happy weekend. Hope you have a great time. And we'll see you again Monday. Take it easy.